All right, everybody. Well, welcome. My name is Andrew Keil. I'm the associate winemaker here at Zaca Mesa. I'm happy to be joined by Chris Acosta, also known as Fish, around the winery, and Chris is our lab tech here. So Chris and I, luckily, we get to go through our September club releases with you guys. We're excited to share these with you. Just kind of went through and tasted them to see if they're all good and everything's looking nice. So we're going to dive a little deeper into these and talk through them with you guys. All right. So Chris, you ready to get going?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So first thing we're going to start with today is our 2022 Grenache Blanc. Just so you guys know, we're sitting right in front of our Grenache Blanc vineyard here. So this is our 2022, like I said. This is basically the GB that we produced last year, of course. It was a really nice harvest, I thought. Just like we have in the past, we fermented this in neutral oak barrels, and then also a little bit went into concrete. It's basically like a barrel-shaped concrete tank that we have, affectionately known as puerco. It looks like a pig. It's a little pig.
A little piggy.
That adds some nice structure as well.
Nose is incredible.
Yeah, so I'm getting a lot of kind of just right melon, really floral, a lot of white flower.
A lot of flowers.
Yeah.
It's also got like this crusty kind of bread like note on the nose. It's almost kind of like a little bit of an apple tart minus the spices, minus the cinnamon and the cloves.
I agree. Really bright. Just exactly what you would expect from this vineyard. The soils here are unique in that, you know, guys are finding little fossils around here all
Fossils
the time.
everywhere, and clam shells and oyster shells, and it's got a really pronounced acid.
Yeah, and I think that kind of limestone or crushed shell character really comes through in this.
Yeah, a little bit more minerality and kind of saline aspect to it on the finish. It's incredible.
It's looking really nice. That's gonna be a really fun wine for you guys to enjoy with a variety of foods, or you know, just enjoy it sitting outside. It's really nice on its own, but it has enough acid and also really nice structure. I think it's gonna go well with a lot of different foods.
The structure and the texture are incredible, and I think that lends from that concrete a little bit more. You really get that kind of, it's not like super soft, it's not round, it's just the perfect balance. I need some like funky cheeses, like really ripe, funky cheeses to kind of cut through a little bit of that acid, but it's delicious.
I'm always up for some funky
I'm
cheese.
always up for funky cheese.
All right, well, we'll make sure we get some funky cheese and come back and drink the rest of this.
Or even like some oysters Rockefeller with like that crispy parma on top, you know, and just give it that funk, that little char aspect. It's incredible.
Anything shellfish related is going to go really well.
Yeah.
Things like mussels, clams, even like clams on pizza.
Kind
of
anchovies
that
on
little,
pizza.
Crusty bread note.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get it all in one.
I like that crusty bread note on it.
Yeah. Well, we hope everybody enjoys this as much as we do. This is always one of my favorite wines. It also ages really nicely. It becomes more and more interesting and layered as time goes on, but it's ready to go right now. It's exciting and bright right now.
And it's organically farmed. It's one of the only organic farm properties that we have here on the vineyard, so that's really awesome too.
It's a fun site.
Yeah, awesome site.
Cool. All right, thanks. The next wine we're going to taste with you guys is the 2019 Z Blanc. So this is a blend of Grenache Blanc. It's got some Viognier and also some Roussanne in it. So it's primarily Grenache Blanc, 88%, with the balance being made up by Viognier and then Roussanne. So this is always a fun one to try, and again, a good one to age for whites.
The 2015 Z Blanc right now is tasting amazing. So if any of you have that, I suggest you open it.
We had the opportunity this year to try some older vintages because of the 50th anniversary. It's been nice that we've gone back and
tasted some older
vintages in celebration of the anniversary, and a lot of these wines are just so fun to try. And so again, for us today, we're tasting the 2019 Z Blanc.
Also the history of the winemakers that came through this place, all these vintages that came before us that we get to taste through. It's pretty incredible. It's Santa Barbara County history.
So this is showing already something I love about the Z Blanc as it gets older, is that it's got a really slight petrol note.
Yeah.
Really nice fruit and a lot of honey.
A lot of like honeysuckle, a little bit of citrus blossom. You pick up like a slight stone fruit, which makes sense from the Viognier that's present within the bottle.
And we were talking just off camera before this a little bit. The Roussanne, even though it's a small percentage,
it really shows.
It really shows. And I think it's that honeyed character,
Yeah.
honeycomb,
And kind of that flinty kind of note as well too. It's like
Yeah, it really, really shows well.
I think it's a nice balance between like the fruit characteristics of Grenache Blanc, but you also get the stone fruit and the florality from the Viognier, and then you kind of get that little bit more of like a heaviness from the Roussanne with that more of a terroir influence, kind of like flinty notes, a little bit of smokiness to it. It's really nice.
I think the structure is really nice. I think that Roussanne does also lend a lot of mid-palate.
Mid-palate to it, yeah.
This is beautiful right now, and I think it's amazing that I think it has potential to hang out.
A little bit longer. Yeah, absolutely.
Just to see. So get a couple bottles.
Yeah.
And try one right when you get it on your shipment, and then I would say try another one in a year or so. Just
a year or two.
It's gonna be really cool to see how it evolves.
So that acid kind of melds together and becomes a little bit more homogeneous.
Yeah, it's got good acid, but it's really soft.
Yeah, very soft. The nose is awesome. You get that Roussanne. It's like a little bit of oak, but that Roussanne characteristic just comes through.
Yeah, it's very nice, elegant wine. It's looking beautiful. So
wow. For me, it's always been like an underrated wine. You know, like it's always out there, but it's never like put on the forefront. It's definitely deserving of that.
Well, I think fans of Zaca Mesa appreciate the fact that we have great Rhones, and then these varieties blend so well.
Yeah.
And they offer their own piece that really together they're just amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredible.
They show good flora, like the aromas all meld together, as well as the way it makes the mouthfeel and the palate, and the fruit is just shining through still. So this is going to be a really fun one for everybody to try. Again, same food pairings, I would say, as we did on the GB.
Yeah.
It is a little softer, so you could also introduce some like creamy elements.
I would definitely go with like a creamier pasta type of dish, polenta. Yeah. But it also has enough structure to kind of pair up to a heavier protein. You know, I'd have this with a beef stroganoff, instantly. You know, it's got enough kind of lift in the wine to break up that creaminess, but it also got that richness to complement it as well. It's a great wine.
You know. Also, break this out during brunch, I think would be good too. Yeah. It kind of has that mouthfeel you would attribute to like a nice, like older champagne.
Yeah.
So I think anything you would kind of think about for a nice brunch, open that bottle for that as well.
Some eggs Benny.
Yeah. Savory, all those. I think it's going to be really versatile. So that's a fun one.
Eggs Benedict and the Z Blanc. That's goals right there. It's vacation breakfast. Awesome.
Great one.
Cool. Inceptive.
Okay, next. This will be a fun one too, like always. The next one we're going to share with you is the 2018 Inceptive.
It's one of my top 3 favorites.
It's really hard to narrow down.
Yeah, this is top 3 for me.
So, the Inceptive is a blend of Syrah, Grenache, and Mourvedre, GSM, but Syrah dominant. What's great about the Inceptive is there's an introduction of some concrete vessel in there. If you've been to the winery and seen the back room, we have 3 huge 1,100 gallon concrete tanks, tulip shape, and
known as the elephants.
Yes, so that always makes the structure very, very nice, and wow, the fruit is just showing.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's got like such dark fruit on it. Black cherries, blackberries, a little bit of kind of like overripe plum.
Yeah, the black and dark blue fruit is really predominant. That structure is just so smooth. There's no harsh edges.
No, it's very velvety, very rounded. It's got this like awesome kind of like smoky tobacco, like herbaceousness note to it.
I think this is a really approachable Syrah blend, GSM blend. It's showing really nice right now as far as the structure and the fruit, of course. Of course, it can age. Maybe some of that fruit might drop out.
Drop out a little bit,
really nice right now. But you know that the mouthfeel doesn't need any help with age.
No, not at all.
I think we're releasing this at a really nice time. I'm getting a lot of the herbal, like the savory herb notes.
It's also like very, very like slight, very, very slight citrus note on it, which I'm assuming is coming from Grenache, but it's very, very slight. It's almost like pithy in a way.
Yeah, I would see maybe like a blood orange type.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. It's a little bit more of like a richer, fuller citrus.
Right.
One of the best for food pairings, in my opinion.
I agree. I think this is one of the most versatile blends that we offer as far as food, because it can go with things that would traditionally not be had with, red wines.
We had it with hot dogs, and it was exceptional with hot dogs.
It's because it's got fruit to, kind of be paired with things that you would normally traditionally pair red wines with. But I think with the structure and the savory elements, again, things like hot dogs or like pastrami.
Pastrami. For me, it's always been a wild game wine. I love eating wild game, and you get that kind of like gamey, herbaceous funkiness from the wild proteins, and this kind of lends that to it. It's a little bit more like savory and cuts through those kind of strong flavors.
See that.
And also you get a little bit more minerality presence, from aging in the concrete, so that kind of lends itself as well to those kind of richer, more intense flavored proteins.
I think also the fact that with the concrete element, and it does kind of take the edges off those tannins, that you don't need a really fatty food.
No, absolutely
like that,
not.
Like you would with a bigger tannin wine.
No.
This can handle leaner meats, and the versatility is there because of the fact that it doesn't need a lot of fat.
A lot of fat, and you can even have this with dessert. It has like very like slight caramely kind of burnt sugar note to it. It's like almost like a perceived sweetness on the nose, which would probably be epic with like a creme brulee or a slice of cheesecake with a bunch of berries topped on it. Wines don't necessarily need to be sweet to have with desserts, in my opinion, but I could definitely see this with some good creme brulee.
Yeah, this is to me, it's just a really pleasant mouthfeel. It's really a pleasure to drink.
Yeah.
Where it's at now, so. This is
it's incredible.
Perfect time for this to come out. I think everybody's going to enjoy this immensely, and I think this is also one you can share with friends, people that
very approachable.
May not be Rhone drinkers. They might drink other varieties and things like that. I think this is just so approachable and so beautiful on the palate that it's going to appeal to a lot of different kinds of drinkers.
Yeah, and it utilizes the three core varietals that we produce here at the vineyard, which is Syrah, Grenache, and Mourvedre, which is pretty awesome.
Great representation.
Great representation of the vineyard, absolutely. So
it's a good one.
Cool.
All right, everybody. So next is another crowd favorite. I know a winemaker favorite.
Yeah.
The Chapel G Syrah 2020 vintage. So first thing you notice when you pour this out is just the amazing inky color that we have here.
Chapel G. It's got like that rich vanilla herbaceousness. It's almost got like this overripe cherry kind of cola aspect to it. Oh man.
So Chapel G is always kind of an interesting one because I think it pushes much to the darker side of
absolutely
and also some chocolate.
It's definitely a little bit more bigger on the palate than Inceptive.
Oh, absolutely. There's some tannin.
Yeah, it's got some tannin structures. They tend to linger a little bit more towards like the mid front of the palate. Finish is unbelievable.
I mean, we just opened this about, 15, 20 minutes ago. I would suggest maybe open it about an hour prior if you can. I mean, it's not like, it's looking really nice right now. I don't think it needs a lot higher than what it has now.
I feel like if it was poured into a decanter, it would probably mute some of those aromas.
Yeah, I kind of like the initial push that comes out of the glass right when you pour it. For me, I'm getting some really cool, the kind of the stereotypical sage and stuff that we have here.
Yeah,
for me, it's just pushing like almost like a mole chocolate.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe it's that nuttiness. Kind of you attributed also a little vanilla.
Yeah, I get like a vanilla kind of like cola aspect.
For me, the vanilla is more like a.
It's like a second.
Like a vanilla pie.
Yeah, like it's for me, it's almost like a secondary aroma. I feel like the fruits come off a little bit a little bit up front, and then you kind of get that waft of vanilla at the end of it.
I think this is one that fans of kind of the more fruit forward. I would, the term jammy, I guess it would kind of fall into that camp a little bit more than some of our other Syrah blends that are a little more
tannic. Yeah.
But this one, I think, offers a lot of that. Like, if you want fruit and you want some nice structure, this is where you go. And I think it's looking really nice.
This is a ribeye wine, 100% of every ounce of that bottle is.
Absolutely. And I think that's why this block stands out, because I think it showcases Syrah in a way that winemaking obviously loves this wine, and I think also customers, this style of Syrah is maybe what a lot of people would be drawn to.
Absolutely.
Depending on where they learn, like where they first experienced Syrah, and this one is.
So it also comes from a pretty amazing place on the vineyard, though. Like just the history of the Chapel Block, and everything that was grown there before the Syrah was planted, which is pretty incredible to think that at one point the Chapel Block was all Chardonnay, and now it's producing incredible Syrahs.
Yeah, it's a really nice block, and it's it's I think the perfect spot for Syrah. I think they did a really nice job when they planted this, and I'm really impressed by. There is some obvious tannins there, but the structure is just gorgeous, and it's soft, and
they're very well integrated. Like, they're not too pronounced, the tannins. They're not hitting you on the roof or the side of your palate. They're just very well integrated. Again, it could probably go for another 5 or 6 years laying down, just let those tannins soften up a little bit. I feel like maybe we'd get a little bit more fruit out of it. I don't think the fruit would drop out. It's pretty prevalent.
Yeah, it's very, very prevalent fruit. I mean, I think it's looking great. I think that I would recommend, if you're wondering when you get your shipment, if it's ready to go now, I think it is.
Yeah. It's definitely.
But again, like you said, I don't think there's any problem.
There's no rush in it whatsoever.
But I think it's looking really nice right now, and it's just a gorgeous wine.
Yeah, always. Just the color of it, the inky.
What a fun lineup. I think that everybody's going to enjoy tasting through this entire lineup.
Yeah.
I think the progression's really great. The two whites, we have GB and then a GB predominant blend. Different wines from each other.
Completely different, yeah.
We have our GSM blend, and then we have our Chapel G, and I think that the GSM and the Chapel G next to each other are really fun to drink next to each other. And just seeing, we have so many different clones and growing areas for Syrah here, and I think that these really show what can happen depending on which Syrah, which vintage you're looking at, what you age in.
Weather.
Like so I think that it's a really fun lineup, and everything is looking unique from each other, and also very exciting that where they're at now. I think they're ready to drink as soon as you unbox it. I think you should jump right in.
And they're pretty awesome too, because they utilize a lot of like the equipment that we use, or a lot of the cooperages that we use within the winery, whether it be concrete, neutral oak, new oak, the Elefantes, the amphoras. So you get a kind of showcases all of what we get to do here in the winery. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very big surprise once you taste the Grenache Blanc and the Z Blanc side by side, because they are completely just so drastic, even though it's, same varietals essentially. But that goes into, every vintage is a challenge. Every vintage is different. And it definitely showcases in the wine. So, yeah.
Fun. Well, Chris, thanks. It was fun.
Cheers.
With you. Well, we have all these open bottles now that we get to
share with the rest of the team, and
we'll share it.
Some.